Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be reviewing the upgradable VRS Direct Force Pro, which is, you could say VRS's oldest base, but it's also its newest feature to that oldest base. It's starting, you can buy it at 6 Newton meters instead of the full 20, and then buy a software update to increase the torque, which means you can keep one base for the entire life cycle of your sim racing career. And it's obviously very convenient, and it is amazing on paper, but in this video, we're going to see how it works in practice. So, the first thing you will notice when you take the VRS base out of the box is that it is an industrial motor, and it has a separate box off to the side that is the brains of the operation. And I really like the industrial look on the rig. That's obviously down to personal preference, but I think it looks really cool, and it gives a sense of quality that you might not get with any other bases. Now, once you get everything out of the box, it's obviously time to mount it on your rig. So you have a couple options when it comes to the Direct Force Pro. You either have the VRS mount, which they sell on their website, or you can get your SimRig's brand front mount, which is another option. Now, I went with VRS's mount that they sell, and I did have quite a few issues installing it, mainly because the nuts are like ones that like lock, and you really gotta work them all the way down, and it's also just kind of awkward and off, so that did cause a few issues for me. If that's not a problem for you, you can still go with that, but I would recommend the front mount from your sim rig manufacturer, just because that'll probably be a bit more solid, and it will also be a lot less hassle than I had with this VRS mount. So next, you've gotten it all mounted on the rig. You've got everything set up. You now need to obviously set up the software. So VRS, you click a button on their web page and you can download the software pretty easily. I found it pretty simple to download and it was super easy. So once you've gotten the base all connected, which takes about 5 minutes, you can then get into the software where you will find all the tuning options. And I will say on this base, it does require a bit more tuning than some other wheelbases that I've used. But once you get it there, it is really, really nice to drive with. And we're going to get into that in the next segment. So we've talked about all the steps on how the base gets set up and how it gets ready to go. But once it's ready to go, how does it perform on track? Well, I have to say that this is one of the best feeling wheelbases I have ever felt on the market. And this is only running it at the 6 and 9 Newton meter options. Like mentioned earlier, you can just upgrade. And it is really good and still able to compete with higher level bases. And I think one of the reasons that is because you can still have that range of like extra force feedback. So it's not clipping and you're not getting like, the motor itself can go higher. The software is the thing that's limiting it to that 9 or 6 or 12 Newton meters, whatever it is. And so from there, you can still get a little bit of extra spike if it's necessary. And I think that's an advantage that it has over, let's just say, a normal 9 Newton meter wheelbase or a normal 6 Newton meter wheelbase, where that is the limit of what the motor can do. Here, the motor has a lot more range, and so it obviously helps with things like overheating, and it's also very convenient when you're, going on long stints, not overheating, not overworking the base, and keeping it in a, great condition, especially if you're not, using it at the full 20 Newton meters. And I think most people who buy a 20 Newton meter wheelbase don't actually use the full 20 Newton meters, which is why I think this is so great, that you don't have to buy the full 20 Newton meters, but you still have that extra bandwidth, shall we say, to where it feels amazing and you get some of the benefits from that as well. So now it's time to talk about the different levels of the wheelbase and how it feels going up. Now, I have only used the 6 and the 9 Newton meter options on this wheelbase, but what I can gather from that is that the 6 Newton meter, it feels amazing. The slew rate is still as fast as the 20 Newton meters or any Newton meters slightly below that. It's just the peak torque is obviously limited. I think the only drawback to the 6 Newton meters is you can't feel the G-forces get more and more as you get, farther into the corner, and it's a little bit harder to, feel the difference between entry and mid corner. 9 newton meters, the difference, even though it's only 3 newton meters, you can really feel that extra 3 newton meters, and it's a really great addition to it. I think 90% of people will be happy with the 9 newton meters. However, if you want to go higher and higher, there is that option for you. Before we wrap up this video, I want to take a quick look at the software. Now, I felt like a few settings on the software aren't quite intuitive. It also has a couple different modes. So it has like a basic mode where it just gives you like a couple settings and it sort of almost tunes the bass for you. It gives you like 3 options. It's like basic, medium, and advanced or something like that. Or you can do more advanced settings where you tune all the little sliders, which I think most people will choose that option. And I think that some of the options aren't the most clear as to what they do. You'll just have to test that out a little bit. I think this bass definitely does take a little bit more time to tune than the other basses that I've done. But once you've tuned it, it's absolutely amazing. Finally, to wrap up this video, I just want to say that if you buy the VRS Direct Force Pro, you will not be disappointed in how it feels, how it runs. It obviously does take a little bit more to set up. It's a bit less plug and play than the other basses I've used. But comparing it to those other basses, it is one of, if not the best force feedback that I have ever felt. It's very smooth. It's very quick to respond, and you can feel a lot of little details that some other basses leave out. So overall, I think this is a great wheelbase option, especially when you factor in that you don't have to buy it at the full 20 newton meters and just do like software upgrades along the way.